Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 395. Meeple Nation November News.
Welcome, citizens of Meeple Nation. For the next 30 minutes, sit back and enjoy.
Meeple Nation Podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. Go to their website, check out their amazing product. We talk about it every week, and I don't see that changing because we love the Game Toppers that we have. I have 2 Watsons. Andy has 2 Mycrofts. They enhance every game night.
You know, I really enjoy this contest between you guys. I could be like, wow, Andy, Nathan's tables are pretty big. He's like, oh yeah? I'm going to order me another Mycroft. And I'm like, hey, Nate, you know, Andy's got a couple of new board games. He's catching up to you. Oh yeah? Well, I'm going to show you. I benefit either way, so good on you guys.
My tables will never catch up to Andy's, and Andy will never catch up to my game. I think we've leveled out.
That works.
Dave and I win, so thank you.
Go to their website. They got toppers, they got mats, all sorts of goodness that will make every game night you have so much better. Because it is by far the best single product that I have bought gaming-wise.
So it's interesting, we talk about Game Toppers every week. Before I had my 2 Mycroft, I had another game table. Whenever another group would get stuck on the game table without the topper, it really reduces the enjoyment. It really does. It's amazing how much more fun it is to play on a topper.
And it removes, oh, well, we can't play this game anymore. Because it literally takes up every square inch of space on the other table. Versus the topper where you can spread out a little bit. You have that lip that helps you keep things on the table. It helps so much.
Even just last night, we were at Andy's house. And Andy, Dave, and I got exiled to the non-topper table.
Whoa, I'm pretty sure that was you exiled us. Because you're like, we're too cool to play Descent with you guys.
Tomato, tomato. We got relegated to the non-topper table. Whether it was our choice or not, we were at the non-topper table. The table still worked, but there's just something about where you can rest your arms, the mats. The Game Topper enhances every game for sure. That's GameToppersLLC.com. Go check them out. You won't be disappointed with your Game Topper purchase.
Welcome to Meeple Nation. We are your hosts. I am Dave Holliday.
I am Logan Howard.
I am Andy Holliday.
And I am Nathan Howard.
Come check out our website, MeepleNation.com. Visit us on Facebook, on Instagram, or on Twitter. We're all over. We're everywhere. You can't get rid of us. Either way, come check us out. We've got blogs you can read. We've got photos, links to past episodes, bios for each of us. We even have some bios for our recent guest bloggers.
So yeah, we're up to 7 bloggers now. 6.5. Dave is our half, but we love and appreciate Dave's commitment. 7 bloggers that are on there. Everyone has an article out now. Check out those blogs.
A article, yes. That is the bare minimum.
Wow, it is a rough room for you today, Dave.
Today. Yeah, we'll go with today. Yeah. Check out our website. We love to hear from you.
Share some love on Dave's post so then he can feel inspired to do it again.
Go read my blog. Never mind.
Just
read my
read
blog, but yeah. Anyway, we love to hear from you. You can reach out to us, comment on any of our social medias, or you can just email us at meeplenation@gmail.com.
So this week we are discussing November news, and a lot of it is actually going to be, we just got back from HUGG-A-Meeple Con down south this time, so we were playing it in Harriman, Utah area, so there was a lot more HUGG members. Absolutely amazing. One of the highlights of the year.
Let's just get into it now. Why not?
For those who don't know what HUGG-A-Meeple Con is, a little frustrated with all the cons getting canceled due to COVID, so we decided to start our own little...
I think withdrawal is an appropriate word.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. So we got together with the Hug ladies and decided to start HUGG-A-Meeple Con. And now we do it every 6 months. We do one in the northern part of Utah where we live, and I guess it's still northern part of Utah where the Hug ladies are. They're just a little further south than us.
For those of you that don't know, the Hug gals their gaming group is called the Harriman, Utah Gaming Girls. Been friends of ours for a while now, so we were super excited for this.
They're a group of ladies that all enjoy playing games, and their spouses do not.
I think the plural is spice.
Oh, their spouses do not.
Yeah, there's spices do not.
Well, no, just spice. You don't say mices. It's mouse mice.
Grammar lessons from Dave.
Well, I love College Dave again.
But so there's Spice.
Thank you.
Won't play games with them. We met these ladies years ago at SaltCon. Like Andy alluded to, with 2021, COVID was still restricting us, so we decided that we would get a small group of us together at Andy's house. And then we had this one couple of weeks back in October. Julie was saying that we had 33 unique people all in her home. I mean, we weren't there all at the same time, but we had wide scope of people, and several of the Hug ladies brought their spouses. We got to play a couple of games. I mean, that's most of my gaming highlights all come from this, because it was new games that we got to play at the con. Like somebody else had read some of these rules, so Julie taught me anyways, 4 or 5 games, and several of those games I own, so it was good to get those games,
Right.
air quote, off my shelf of shame, because yeah, it's been played, right? Maybe not my copy, but
I mean,
the
it's still in
game's been
shrink,
played.
so it looks nice.
And I actually did punch a game there, and then just boxed it right back up, so sort of off the shelf of shame? No? All right.
If you want to hear a little bit more about who Hug is, or from them directly, you can go check out our previous HUGG-A-Meeple Con episode. It was episode 374. We recorded with several of the ladies from Hug.
It was great. I thought it was an awesome experience. We were able to play cartographers. I like cartographers. It's one of my favorite flip and writes because it's really simple. And what was really appealing to it during the con was when some of the spice came in, they were able to take them.
Okay, well, let's stop calling them Spice, because Spice and Spouse. Sorry, Dave.
It's okay. Keep
We're not
most
gonna,
of it.
We're going to keep most of it.
But you can
We're
refer to them
reverting
as
back-
husbands from now on.
Thanks. Dave gave his blessing. So it
You have
is.
to keep that in. Cartographers was a great game. I love it. It's an amazingly simple but complicated-ish flip and write. It was really easy because we were able to take a lot of significant others when they showed up that haven't really played board games. And yeah, it took them just a little bit longer to understand the concepts. It was Dee Dee's husband that absolutely destroyed me when we played cartographers with him. Which I think is one of the highlights of the game, is that if you can teach a game and then somebody brand new can come in and just win. I lost, but at least I taught the game well enough that somebody had a good time playing it.
I got to go right off of that. Apparently, Hug says if you teach a game and you win, that means you were a lousy teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So we played 2 games of Bunny Kingdom.
And you won both times?
And apparently I'm a terrible teacher. Explained everything very carefully. And on the first game, it's a little bit expected. There is a learning curve.
A learning curve in something simple?
The whole house being score and not understanding when and where the most advantage.
But hold on, I'm still stuck at you explained everything. You didn't keep any of your back pocket
I didn't
rules
keep
like you
any
like
back
to...
pocket rules. No.
Okay.
Did you let Dave sit next to the resources?
Dave wasn't involved in this game.
Oh.
And there are no resources.
The only resources in the game are your own bunnies. But we played this game, expected to win the first game, just because there is a little bit of a learning curve that goes with it. With Bunny Kingdom, I had one small fiefdom. Everybody else was all over the board.
You are a lord, so I guess that works.
Yes. And so in my small little 9x9 fiefdom, I was able to score 274 points, while the next highest person was 139. Okay, well, I felt a little bit bad. Everybody's like, okay, let's play it again, now that we got a better feel for it. We played it again. At the end of the final scoring, I had 10 points. But everybody just kept passing me the parchment cards. They made sense, so I started keeping these parchment cards, and my parchment card collection grew. So I had 10 points at the end of the game, and then after all the parchment cards were calculated, I ended up with 186, which the next highest was 152. So again, I was a terrible teacher. But then we played Western Legends, which Julie introduced us to. Julie taught us. Logan, Dave, myself, Julie, and Monique were playing Western Legends. I found the game very enjoyable, and apparently Julie is an exceptional teacher. We got to the final score. Dave thought he had won it by scoring 22 points, and I guess you didn't think about it. My score marker was way ahead.
No, I didn't think I had won it. We knew very early that you were winning this game. I'm still not convinced that you didn't have like an extra several turns of that in
Oh,
there.
come on, Dave. Dave with all the extra actions.
Yeah, you had a ton of extra
That's
actions
true.
that game.
That's true, I did.
Like every game, so don't get me started.
It made me feel better about losing to you all the time in Agricola, Dave.
What other highlights do you guys have?
As amazing as all the gaming was at HUGG-A-Meeple Con, the biggest highlight for me was the awesome food.
Linda went above and beyond the first night, Sarah did amazing the next night. They fed us such amazing dinners.
Linda said, okay, we're going to have Indian food on that Friday night. We're all thinking, okay, Indian food. And we're downstairs playing games. When they say, come up and eat, we go up there. There is a buffet up there.
It was crazy.
There's like 7 dishes.
All these big dishes. There was korma, there was butter chicken, lentils. She had made samosas.
Almost like a fried dumpling.
It's a fried Indian appetizer. But man, it was awesome.
Sarah from the next night, where she made Alfredo, homemade eclairs. Effort was made by all. Thoroughly impressed. Made me feel like crap for the effort that we put in.
Funny thing is, your guys' food was delicious too. Time and effort that was in our food. Well, I didn't make anything, so...
We purposely designed it was, what can we take down there that'll take the minimal effort to do? Comparatively, all the effort they did, yeah, they did amazing, and I feel terrible for the amount of effort I put into it. We made tacos on Saturday, and they were delicious, but nowhere near the effort of what they put in.
So nice for Julie and Eric to allow us into their home, to meet Matisse and Monique's husband, Brandon. A ton of experience. Great food. It was so nice to be there. What other games did you guys play?
When we talked about this previously, about this game, quite a few episodes ago, but we got Sewer Pirates to the table at the con.
Oh, I was so jealous you guys were able to play Sewer Pirates.
We introduced Doug and Lydia and Marissa to the table to play. One of the Hug Lady's husbands. I can't remember exactly which of the husbands. We had fun.
I think the only downside with their experience from Sewer Pirates was they had such an amazing time playing it, and it's out of print.
Doug was like, I want to pick this up, so we looked it up on Amazon, and getting this out of print, it wasn't unreasonable, but it was still fairly expensive. It's interesting, because every time I've played that game with someone, because it is an older game, people love it. I'm surprised they haven't run another printing of it. It's not something that's super well known either.
Oh, I think it's amazing. I love the wonderful theme of it, collecting trash, stealing little girls' dollies and renting them back. There's so much in there that makes me laugh. I love that game.
Thematically, it's awesome. I love each of your critters. Everybody has a set of 4 critters. There's 6 total in the game, 2 that you won't be playing with each game. Each of those critters will have a power that differs from the other ones. The way you can play your critters...
Everybody has one of each of these critters.
Correct.
So then it's just timing of when you play these powers.
Definitely a level of strategy of when you play them, how you play them, where you play them. You get to draw 2 cards on your turn, or you play 2 cards to play a critter from your supply onto one of the ships. Or you can play cards from your supply to move a critter that's already on a ship, or you can become captain or set sail. Super fun game. I know Doug and Lydia had a lot of fun with it. Marissa also was interested in picking it up, but I don't know if they'd be willing to pay. I think it was like $120 for a copy of it. Maybe eventually they'll run a new printing, but I doubt it. It would be awesome if they did, but I doubt it. Julie also taught us a game called Lewis and Clark. Dave and I played this with 3 of the Hug Ladies. Lewis and Clark, the Expedition. I thought it was fun. A deck builder aspect to it. Well, it's more of a hand builder. It's not really a deck builder. It's a hand builder. Each player manages an expedition intended to cross the North American continent. You start out on the river. You have to spend food, which moves you along the river. You're playing these cards from your hand that will allow you to do this. You can spend food, which is the base way, the easiest way to move along the river. So you're going through rivers and mountains. Food is the most common way, at least at the beginning of the game, to move. But it also moves you a fewer number of spaces. Later in the game, you can gain canoes, which, if you're on the river, really zip you along the track. And it's a race game. You're trying to get to your location before anybody else. That being said, it's a little bit of a hand management. When you decide to set up camp and you're going to move your marker along the river, that's where your camp is, and then you're going to start your expedition. That brings all your cards back that you've played, because when you play a card, it stays in play. When you set up camp, you're going to move backwards on the track. You move back for every card that you have left in your hand, you're going to move back on the track. You can store a certain number of resources round over round without being penalized. If you have more than that, you're going to get penalized and move backwards on the track. And also you have so many workers that you can store round over round. If you go beyond that, you also will move backwards on the track. By the end of the game, if someone gets to the end of the trail, and after moving back for any penalties that they gain when they set up camp, if they set their camp up at the finish line, essentially, the game immediately ends and you win. There's worker placement involved, there's resource management, hand management. It's a fun game.
There were several mechanics of this game that I thought were really cool, really unique. And I always appreciate learning a new game.
I was able to play Drawn to Adventure with Claudine and Nicole. I just picked up this month. It is a roll and write based in the same world as Merchant's Cove. The same artist did all of it, basically the same type of stuff. Super fun, going through different kingdoms. Started in the human kingdom or the dwarf kingdom. Once somebody defeats 3 of the monsters on the board, everybody gets 1 more turn, and then you move on to the next map. It's going to be 1 of 2 maps again. Same thing. You're trying to do quests and gain coins, silver, gold, or gems. Leveling up your characters. Each person has asymmetrical power on their character sheet. They get to level those characters up and gain additional abilities that they can use throughout the adventure. Finally, you get to the last map. Same type of thing. Once you finish the last map, you do final scoring. There's resource management, there's dice rolling, there's dice manipulation. Super fun game. I've gotten to where I really like the roll and writes. Small box. One thing I like about this roll and write is it uses erasable markers, so you don't have a pad of paper.
That's always a downside, right? Logan talks about cartographers, and Logan's playing cartographers quite a bit, and then all of a sudden we're out of paper. I mean, there's expansions that are coming out. Introduce new creatures, new challenges. You go through those pads, and I was concerned with Welcome To, because we were playing a ton of Welcome To at first. But now with all the different variants of Welcome To pads, tons of paper, right?
Cartographers, you have to play that game a lot to be able to get through that pad.
It's nice because those are double-sided pads.
Yeah, in Julie's copy, which we played, her teaching was on one side. One of the times we played, we made sure we played on the other side to get rid of excess paper from her box. It is a concern. I think it's a concern when you get closer to the end of the pad, but I mean, you have to play it a lot. And if you do, it's kind of bittersweet because you used it so much that you got your money's worth.
That, and if you really get down to where you're getting close, just laminate them and put some markers in the box.
It's tougher in cartographers. Going back to cartographers, I don't know about Drawn to Adventure, but cartographers, you're drawn all over with a dry erase, bound to smudge and inadvertently erase lines.
But cartographers isn't a super expensive game. Worst case, you get through that pad. I don't know how many's in a pad. Let's just say it's 200. You get through 200, double-sided, 400, just buy another copy.
Yeah.
You have to get to that point before you have that
absolutely.
argument. Because, I mean, both sides have merit. Dry erase marker and just getting more pins than pad. You just copy it.
There are companies out there who just sell the pads by themselves. But sorry, I got completely off subject. But that's one of my downsides of the roll and writes, flip and writes. But I think they're great games. Exactly like what you were saying, Andy, and what Logan was saying, is they're easier to teach most often than not. As long as you're not talking about a crayon rail empire builder style, which is not a flip and write.
But still amazing.
I think it's a game style. I think, Andy, you have the same feeling that I do. When you first go into flip and write, roll and write, are you sure?
Yeah.
But then when you play it, you're like, oh, wow, that was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
That
it had just enough complexity that you're intrigued and you're invested, but not enough to scare people away. This is one of the games where we actually got our friend Doug, his wife Lydia, to play because a game that's within her limits. So one of my highlights, I have a couple from HUGG-A-Meeple Con, loudest game of werewolf ever.
I would agree with that. Holy cow.
If you've ever played with us at SaltCon, last time we played with around 50 people, largest game we've ever played with. We played with, I think it was 12 people. Oh my goodness, you could not get them to be quiet to go to night for the life of you. Wow, you guys are like all older than me adults. Can't we just be quiet? They were just so into it. It was so entertaining.
So Dave and I were not playing werewolf. We were in a different room completely and listening to Logan tell everybody to shut up.
Nicely, though.
Yeah, most of it was nice.
Not all of it,
It started off nice and didn't work, so you had to get into a little bit more mean.
But yeah, no, we were down the hall, around the corner, in another room, and we were like, hang on, I can't hear you. I gotta tell Logan to be quiet. No.
It was great experiences. Our friend Sarah dabbled in cyberbullying.
Yes, she did. The meanie.
She cyberbullied me 2 days later. I got a text message. She sent it the night before, but first thing I see on my phone when I wake up is something about you're heartless, and I'm like, oh, thanks, Sarah. I think I scored my best Merchant's Cove game ever.
You played an amazing game of Merchant's Cove.
Everything was perfect.
Yeah.
Going back to Werewolf, Claudine and I, we were both werewolves in one game. We did 5 games. In that werewolf game, it was perfect. The Hug ladies and Nate all swapped out moderating so everybody could have a chance to play.
Claudine was the best moderator ever.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, she's the best ever. When Claudine and I were werewolves, everything went our way perfectly. I was pretending to be the village idiot. The village idiot didn't realize they were the village idiot, so they started voting to save people. My identity was safe. Everyone's like, well, he's the only one that's voted down every time. Yes. We tried to kill somebody in the first round, but the moderator made a mistake, killed somebody else. Turned out that was a seer.
Oh, wow.
That wasn't Claudine that did that. Claudine did a great job.
And then the next round, we ended up killing the pacifist, and Claudine was just pretending to be the pacifist. Towards the end of the game, there was 3 villagers at each other's throat. Monique was screaming bloody murder about, I'm a villager! I've never seen someone so adamant about that in my life. It was hysterical. Claudine and I are just kind of sitting in the corner like, yeah, it's one of you guys. Like, whatever.
Because we all knew that Claudine was a pacifist and you were the village idiot.
One of the most perfect games of being a werewolf. Being a werewolf, it's not easy. It's kind of hard.
Especially in smaller groups, I think.
In smaller groups where we know each other, it definitely makes it more difficult. Playing big groups where you don't know everybody, you just kind of hide behind, oh, you don't know me. I'm not being suspicious.
The one time that I played this as a werewolf, 6-year-old girl or whatever she was, it was like, well, you got to pick somebody. And so she's like, I don't know, kill him. And I was out. There was no easy or hard. It was just dead right at first.
By the way, if you ever go to a con with Monique, she is the most intense con person because she is there to play board games and she means business. We don't get to see each other very often. We get distracted, we chat, we embrace the amazing food. Monique comes upstairs and she's like, where have you guys been? I've played 3 board games. Aren't we here to play board games? We're like, oh, no, you're right, Monique. Let's go down and play board games. We played Opolis last night. It was Dave, Richie, and I, and it's a game that Richie's been developing for a few years. It's a super great game. I would want to plug the Ion Awards, and we're trying to convince him to enter into it. If you have any desire, that's such a great avenue to just get your toe in the waters about how to develop a game, what you need to do to get it to that end point. And the great thing about the Ion Awards, too, is because what hangs up Richie a lot is that he doesn't have great artwork. You don't have to have artwork to have it in. You just need a polished game.
And it definitely is. Very well done game. It's a fun one. Plus, you got, for the first time, partake in a game of Descent.
I finally was able to sit down and play the new edition of Descent, Legends in the Dark. It's great. I love it. Can't wait to sit down and play it again.
And I'm glad that you finally got a chance to play a game. Considering that you've been working so many nights and not been here, we kind of had to start without you. Because it's on Nathan's 10 for 10, so we've got to get those plays in.
Let me get that whip out.
We've played 4 games up till now. Really had a good time. It's been fun.
Yeah, it has.
For them simplifying all the variety and customizability from 2nd edition, it still is actually very enjoyable. And that's just my first game.
Even with, you're not customizing your character as much, there is still customization in it. You're making those choices of which feat you're going to work on.
And we don't need 6 hours for Dave to go through all the cards and to pick his character.
There's definitely a shining side to not having choices.
Maybe they made this game just for you, Dave.
You
or
know
maybe
what?
they made it just for those who play with you, Dave.
They must have got my email.
Whatever, guys. I had a ton of fun at HUGG-A-Meeple Con. Several of the games that we got to play. In fact, I played many of my favorite games, right? Because Julie also taught us Sidereal Confluence. In fact, I was going to play a different game, but then somebody else came interested in playing that, and so I went back over to Sidereal Confluence. I was a little afraid of Sidereal Confluence. I thought it was going to paralyze me with choices. Thought I was going to be a drag on the game for everybody, and so I was really afraid of it.
I was a little concerned for you, too.
Didn't have that experience at all. And then the other thing is it can get kind of commotion-y, loud, because there's a lot of trading at the same time going on. Quite often, I'm not a loud person. I'm not going to stand up and put my hand in people's faces so they stop talking like Nathan will. And it's...
My trade was more important than your trade.
Kind of take a back seat a lot of times. But it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm super excited to play it again.
I'm not actually super sold if I like it. I did have a migraine the first time that I played it, so I don't know if that had a factor, but Monique and I think, had a very similar experience when we played it the first time, where it was, we don't know if we like it, but we don't know if we dislike it. It's a very big learning curve, because you have to know all the asymmetric powers to be able to teach everybody. To be able to sit down and play it with somebody who already knows it, such a great opportunity. You should take advantage of it if you can.
Totally. Nathan and I, we've been playing a bunch of games online, and I've been really enjoying it. We've been playing a bunch of Nidavellir. The more I play that game, the more I love that game.
I really like this game. kicking my butt again.
Yeah,
Really
I
like
think
this
I'm
game.
double your score.
Yeah, shut up, Dave.
Had a lot of fun with Red Rising that Monique taught us as well. That's another one that we definitely need to get to the table here and play. Sulkin, the Mayan calendar, that was awesome. Biggest highlights, though, was that Adrian, my lovely bride, came and joined us. I actually don't think I got to play a game with her. But more important than that is I really wanted her to get down and just enjoy the company with Hug. And she did, and she loved it.
Oh, HUGG they're so good at being able to just absorb people, and they're so friendly being able to sit with them. Obviously, we talked the entire episode of news about HUGG-A-Meeple Con and our experiences in new games that we played. It's a success story for cons, SaltCon in general. We were able to go to SaltCon, make such good friends that we want to hang out more, which is, I think, the biggest selling point to go to SaltCon, go to a convention near you. Even if you don't know anybody, like, just shop around. You'll find people that are friendly, and then if you do, you might make some really good friends along the way.
You're absolutely right. You look forward to these friendships that you form. You look forward to seeing these people again. And it's just great that we've had this opportunity to be able to game with Hug a couple extra times a year. We really hope that it continues and that it's something that we do for a long time because they're good people.
We're okay people.
We're okay people.
So we balance out to pretty okay.
I think you're spot on there, Logan. Speaking of pretty okay, Dave, myself, and Ryan played a game of Clank a couple weeks back, Clank in Space. We included the Cyber Station 11 expansion. It sets up the game considerably different than regular Clank in Space. It makes it so that there's only 2 small sections that you have to get back to if you're going to score any points. And so we played this game 2 weeks ago, over an hour, and it was close to getting finished. All of us died.
But the way we all died was awesome in this game. Ryan died right before his turn. As a dead person, you just draw 4 cubes out of the bag. Nathan and I both had 2 wounds left. And Nathan said, wouldn't that be funny if he draws 2 of each of our cubes and kills us both?
And he did.
And that's exactly what happened. Things are going pretty well. We're getting really close to escaping. Ryan dies and takes us both out.
So then the next week we're playing again. Same game, same 3 people. I think I died first, just because of the amount of Clank that I had thrown in the bag and made everybody else throw in the bag. Every time it was coming around quickly, Ryan died and then Dave died. Dave had the closest chance, but he still couldn't get out. So we played 2 games of this where we all scored 0 points. Can you score points in this game? It feels like.
So who won?
Well, I counted them as all losses. Dave counted them both as all wins because we all had the same high score.
And
So I guess it depends on who you ask. Glass half full, half empty.
I say, and I'm a half full guy, so.
After we'd lost again, played a 3rd game of it, and then for some reason, it was just a breeze. We all got through, we all escaped without any issues whatsoever. So it was just kind of funny that we had 2 very, very hard games. The game mopped the floor with us, and then to have this 3rd game where we had no issues. The game ended, and I think I had 2 wounds on the board. Both Dave and Ryan had no wounds, but we all escaped, and it was a good time.
Was a good time. That was another great thing at HUGG-A-Meeple Con. I was able to teach this game to Monique and her friend Tony that came, and that was really, really fun.
And one final game that I want to talk about that was also on my Shelf of Shame that we got pulled off. No, actually, we played my copy.
I think it's Shelf of Opportunity.
No, it's a Shelf of Shame when you have over 50.
You just have way more opportunities than other people.
Yeah, it's shame. It's
You
shame.
can't go anywhere but up.
Yeah, it's shame. Other people might have opportunity. Mine is shame.
If you had an extra day of the week, maybe opportunity.
Maybe.
Just quit your job.
There you go. But we got to play Calico, pattern building game. Each player is making a quilt, and you're trying to attract cats to come rest on the quilt that you're making by matching patterns. If you have a certain pattern, then you can attract a certain cat to come lay on your quilt. And then you have sections of the quilt that you're trying to work around, that you're trying to match patterns. Beautiful and appealing game. Kind of a similar feel to Patchwork, except for completely different. The playstyles are very different. I would recommend both of those games. And Dave and I have been playing quite a bit of Patchwork lately, too. Both of those games are high on my list. Both very pretty to look at and have a high level of complexity that comes along with it. It's always weird to say that it's a simple game with a high level of complexity. Some of these games have just that. It's simple to learn. You're going to draw a tile, you're going to put it on the board. Where you put it on the board makes a huge difference.
Well, I think that's the same thing you could say about number 9 or Scrabia.
Exactly.
We got easily distracted by HUGG-A-Meeple Con.
As we got so distracted, we didn't really get to any news or any new games, Kickstarters, or anything like that. But we did talk about several new games and gave a little discussion about those games, which makes me feel okay that we missed that.
I think we also talked about a couple of old games, which is a plug. Take some of your old games off the shelf and just play them again. When we played Puerto Rico, Sewer Pirate, they're great games. They're a good opportunity. Get them out and play them again.
Andy and I got a chance to play Beowulf. Andy stomped all over me, and he's now king after Beowulf died.
I had never bought that game. The linearness kind of turned me away from it. It was a lot funner than I thought it was going to be by judging a book by its cover, or rather a game by its game board.
And you said the same thing about Dune Imperium.
It's same thing.
I actually really enjoyed that. I was surprised how much I enjoyed that.
I was too. That was another one of my highlights. Playing Dune Imperium. That was a very enjoyable game. Actually, it's one I think I would like purchase. Looking at it, yeah, I don't know if I want that. Shelf space is a premium, right? So you have to be a lot more picky about what you buy.
You do? Nathan, is that true?
The more I look at moving and thinking, okay, where am I going to put games in a new place? Yeah, that's the thing.
With that being the case, I didn't buy it because I'm like, gosh, I just don't know. You kind of read the back and you kind of try to gauge exactly what the game is, and you look at the game and I don't know if I really want it. I mean, I love Dune. Part of it sounds awesome. Part of it I'm not so sure about. I'm glad I got a chance to play it.
Well, I think that's really taken all of our time. We'll look forward to the next time that we get to talk about our gaming convention with HUGG. So that's it.
Until next time.
We'll see you at the game table. Hopefully you're getting in a lot of new games.
Good night, Julie.
Wow. That's not creepy at all.
That was so creepy.
I know, right?
As always, we want to thank you for listening.
Check out our website. We have all sorts of cool things there. Love those blogs. Get a deeper look into the writing side of Meeple Nation.
Join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. I look forward to seeing you there.
Follow us on Twitter, @MeepleNation. We also have Instagram.
Under the same name. We also want to thank our sponsor, GameToppersLLC.com.
We love their product, and there's so much goodness out there.
And we also want to thank Braden Detergent for our music.
So this week we are discussing August news and...
As it says August.
November.
Okay, it's not November.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading.
Nathan's perfect. Never makes a mistake.
So this week we're discussing Augustna.
Agudnovs.
That is August through November news. It's going to be a little longer today.
Each player manages an expedition. It's
It was me and Julie and Jenny. Julie was talking about how she listens to every episode, but she usually listens she listens to it as she's laying in bed going to sleep.
To me.
Jenny's like, you totally need to say good night, Julie. And I was like, I need to do that.